Greetings once again, guitar students. Brett Miller from Metal Guitar Academy, and this is the Metal Mailing Volume 5. Back with you with another wicked warm-up and Fire and Steel shred lick. So here we go. So this warm-up really is going to work the stretch between these two fingers and your ring and pinky fingers. Okay. And it's really about kind of grouping them like this or like this. All right. Now we're going to be starting here on the 10th fret, and it's really just these three strings, although as I'll point out, you could continue this exercise across all six, and also bring it down the neck for more of a stretch. So let's go primarily here to the tablature so you can see what I'm doing as we do it. Okay. So starting at the 10th fret, reasonable place to start. Again, as always, thumb, you want to be pretty low down here. Okay, really behind your first and middle fingers pretty much. Okay. Now as we start, slowly, it's not about speed, this is just about your stretch. And notice we're going to group the fingers 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret, 14th. So we get this little stretch here between the first and the middle finger. Again on the A string, just this little turnaround here. Ascend. So you want to memorize that first. Now again, if you wanted to continue to do that on up the strings, you could. But the second part of this is, if we look at the second line, still starting on 10th fret, but now we have this grouping of first, middle, ring, pinky. So now the stretch is here between the ring and the pinky. Climb up both strings, same thing, and then again a little descending turnaround. So the whole thing would be start again with the different grouping. Now again, if you want to try this faster, I mean certainly that's a harder. That's tough, just because the fingering is weird. Actually be up here, wouldn't it, on these two strings? Regardless though, same stretch. Hard to pick that faster, you don't have to, but it does make sort of a, I don't know, John Petrucci kind of style. Fast lick sounds kind of chromatic. And now, you certainly could do this up all the strings. So if we just continued on the D string, like so. A little repeated note there on the B string, that's okay. And then you switch it. Kind of cool. I mean, I like those kind of licks. That might be something that'd be cool in a solo, actually, just because it would sound. I like those little repeated kind of notes there. Oops. That's what I want to do. Kind of fun. Anyway, so you can just do that on all the pairs of strings. I also encourage you, if that's not enough of a stretch, certainly come on down here, and you can do this, let's say, at the 5th fret. Where it's just going to be exact same thing, but just a little bit more of a stretch. Another grouping this way, bigger stretch. Good. So have some fun with that. Now we're going to be doing the shred lick, Fire and Steel. Now this one is really about some tremolo picking again. Tremolo picking is going to be multiple pick strokes on one note. However, this is trickier, I think, because this is going to be a lot of times just 2 notes or 2 pick strokes per note. Mixing it up between 3 of them and just 2. Now why is this tougher? Because this really works the coordination between the hands. It's one thing to have 1 note per pick and 1 note in your left hand like that, but to go at a faster pace, 2 picks per note, It's harder because it makes your fingers really have to work at the detail, because they have to stay down just a little longer than you're probably going to be used to, frankly. And it's easy to get very sloppy where the fingers don't line up. But if you do 2, see, that's weird for me on the ring finger. I'm doing it okay, but the ring finger's staying down a little longer than I would be used to doing. So it's very good for coordination. Now, let's go to the tab here. And this is cool. It has a little bit of a sort of Middle Eastern-y kind of a feel here. Notice we call these sextuplets, so this is groups of 6 here. So if you're doing your metronome and you want to do a slower pace, try and do it at a pace where you can fit 6 notes in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or if that's too fast for you, you can make it like 3 notes per click. Ba da da ba da da ba da da ba da da ba. That might be a little bit more reasonable, okay, than trying to cram all 6 in. But if you can start to do this faster, you want to set your metronome really where you can have 6 notes per click. Okay. Now, I'm not going to be doing this blazing fast because I want to be, I mean, frankly, first of all, it's something I would actually want to practice myself, as I've mentioned here before. I come into here not super practicing these things before I do them. But I want to get the mechanics with you detailed. I think that's more important because then you can do this at any tempo. All right. Now, this is a great opportunity here. I'll play it first for you. Okay. Also tricky because of the shifts. Notice when I shift here, that's going to happen quite a bit also in the next measure if my pinky's on the 10th fret. Tough. That's what I mean. Coordination is the name of the game here. So you don't want to do this too fast. You want to be going for the cleanliness first, okay, the accuracy. Now, this is a great opportunity, this particular lick, to really work on what I call the target notes. Okay, this is a principle I talk about most of the time when I'm talking about picking or anything that has to do with speed building. So like an Unleash Your Speed or speed picking daily guitar gains. But it's just something I generally share with my students, my private students as well. And this is just a strategy about how to practice fast, accurate picking. You want to really just take a portion of the exercise. Okay, if you try to do this whole thing, I can almost guarantee you, sit down and try to do the whole thing at a medium pace, there's going to be sloppiness. Okay, so we need to take a small portion of it. Okay, so we're going to chunk it down and really just decide on a target note that we're going to stop on so you can really check your work. So a great way to start would be this little chunk, that shift right there. Notice it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. So you can really nail. This is also a good way to find a tempo for yourself. And if I had the metronome going, that probably for me would be a good place to start to practice the rest of the lick, because there'll be some harder stuff. So that's a really good one to do. Okay, and another place that would be a good one is the string change. We're going to talk about it in more detail in a second, but that right there, even this little chunk, if I was having trouble with it, I literally would break it down to that little bit and make sure I was clean. So I encourage you to do that. You're going to have much more efficient time with this. Now, here's another place I'd recommend. Next measure with that pinky shift. I think at a faster pace, that's probably one of the harder ones. So, okay. So you can tell, putting this together, if you get those the harder parts out of the way first, you can then tack it back together, you're going to have a much better time of it. And so now, upstrokes versus downstrokes. Okay, this is the last thing I'll talk about here with you today, and then we'll unleash you into doing this yourself. I do recommend on a lot of things that you try certain licks starting on not only a downstroke but on an upstroke, because what this does is it can make some of the string changing more efficient. For example, first measure the first string change where it goes from the G string to the B string. Okay, now look at my right hand. If I do this slowly, downstroke to start, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let's go so you can see me a bit more large and in charge here. Okay, if we have down, up, if we do it down, notice my pick is hovering in between the G and the B strings, which is, you know, where it should be. But now to do an upstroke on the B string, I have to go around the B string and come back up, which messes up the momentum. And I've talked about this a few more times, I think it's, or a few times previously. I think it's an important little concept. Now, if we could somehow get to this note here on an upstroke on the G string, that is much more comfortable now to go back down, because now I'm hovering already. I don't have to go around a string and avoid an upstroke. I can just follow up with a down and hit that B string. G string up, B string down. Now to do that, we have to essentially reverse the order of our pick strokes. Right? So if I started up, now that may be more, well, I know it is more efficient physically. It's a little tougher if you guys haven't worked on doing upstrokes, starting on upstrokes, and again I have some other material that I recommend doing that, just consecutive upstrokes, etc. However, if you practice this slowly, again stopping on that note as a target. So again, for me, I would take this out of contact until I was comfortable. There it was. When I do that, I'll tell you, I have a tendency sometimes to rush it, to actually go a little bit too fast. So you want to play around that. I would recommend doing both versions for this. And when you put the whole thing together, it really is going to give you a good overall workout with your coordination and with your pick stroke direction. So, excellent. That's it for Volume 5, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take that one slow. It's pretty tricky. I'm probably going to practice this one myself, actually, after doing this with you today. I think it's a good one for me, too. Okay, keep shredding. I'll see you next time.